Hello, everybody, and welcome to Comically Incompetent. My name is Doug, and I am so excited to say that this is the 1 year anniversary podcast of the show. Now, to celebrate 1 year of the Comically Incompetent podcast, we are going to be doing 5 episodes for March, 5 different guests, all returning guests who came on during the 1 year of our show, and they get to pick the movie. So, as you can see, our guest this week is Grayson. Grayson, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I am ready to discuss this film.
That is a good word for it, because it is that art.
This piece of majestic art cinema, I think, is actually like, it is pure, it's cinema in its finest form.
Exactly. Now, if you guys didn't read the title of the episode when you clicked on it, then you will not know. But we are doing the Spongebob Squarepants movie today.
The original,
the first Spongebob Squarepants movie from, 2004. This is a lot older than I thought.
Yes, that was like the first thing that jumped out at me, is I swear I was much older when this movie came out.
I didn't realize I was like 8 years old.
I was a literal child when this movie came out.
I feel like this came out when I was like 16, and I don't know why, but not at all.
Yeah, in my head it was like I was in like 5th grade, but I guess I was in I don't know, like
what's
3rd,
8 years
4th
old?
grade.
Yeah,
like, and man, for for an 8-year-old, there's some adult content in this film that we will get into.
This is fantastic. Before we get into it real quick, I do have to introduce the beer. So I didn't realize until after I bought it, this is our first ever repeat beer.
Repeat?
So, this actually, we did this beer. It's the Fathom IPA from Ballast Point. I picked it because of the Cyclops on the can, the scuba diver. We did it for the Aquaman episode 5, all the way back in. We recorded it in March of last year, so a year ago. So it still works. 1 year anniversary, bringing a year-old beer back from the show.
A much better movie than Aquaman.
Oh God, so much better than anything the DCEU has put out.
So much better than anything DC's ever even attempted to put out.
That's true. That's definitely true. I want to dive right into this movie because I think the best thing about this movie is that everyone went to the theater and thought, am I in the wrong movie? When live-action pirates were on the screen as the star of the film.
Not live-action pirates doing a very jolly rendition of God knows what. Like, so merry. Like, they kind of remind me of the Merry Men from Shrek.
Good callback. Good callback.
Yeah, good callback. They're just like, yeah, I remember getting into the theater, and I was like, this is an interesting, aggressive start to this movie that I did not see coming.
Nobody saw this one coming, and it was all like, what? They found treasure, and it was tickets to the SpongeBob SquarePants movie!
Yes, and dinghy off the port bow is a line that has lived on in my vernacular ever since.
Dinghy off the port bow!
Dinghy off the port bow! Did I know what it meant? Do I still know what it means? No.
Not at all.
Do
Not
I
even a little bit.
Consistently repeat it? Yes.
Dear God.
I think just the word dinghy as an 8-year-old already, they sucked me in. I was like, okay, dinghy. This is going to be a good one.
Whatever this is, I am in it.
Whatever this is, these live action pirates, I was like, is this a cartoon? Like, what are we going to do? And then we get just a beautiful rendition of the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song. Like, so by these pirates.
So many people thought they were in the wrong movie. Like, they had to. I remember being like, okay, something feels wrong right now.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob
like,
SquarePants.
They're so good at singing.
And the fact that they've put the theme song in the movie. Like, I don't think I've ever... Like, there's never been that I can remember an animated series to, first of all, put out such a phenomenal movie.
Yes.
And then...
Like a full force production movie. Because, like, Jimmy Neutron did, but it was a movie before it was a show.
They did it reversed.
It was like a true movie. This is a very established... This is 5+ years of airtime up to this point. Golden age airtime. Like, I'm talking, like, the best seasons before this.
Yeah, easily.
Like, let's make a movie.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about this, too, is this was supposed to be the end of it. This was supposed to be the end of SpongeBob, was this movie. And then this movie did so well that they were like, well, we can make a lot more money out of this. So then they just kept going with the show. But this was supposed to be the end of it.
Yeah. This movie grossed $141 million.
Jesus. For an animated movie.
For an animated movie on a cartoon that already existed. Like, whatever they anticipated, like, this had to blow it out of the water.
Oh, easily. I mean, this has to be, what is it? I think it was like Nickelodeon Studios, like not a big company for making animated films.
Correct.
This has to be their biggest grossing movie they've ever made, as far as Nickelodeon Studios goes. Easily.
I would expect that. I don't know, like, I don't keep up with the Nickelodeon Studios box office numbers necessarily, but
not as much as you used to.
Yeah, not as much as I used to. I used to just be on those tickers all day, like, oh man. What's going on? But very poignant, just kind of calling back to the pirates, is that sea shanties are all the way back, in case you didn't know. So the sea shanty rendition of the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song is something that I think might come back in popularity here. So if those at home that want to kind of get on trends before they're like super cool. I know this is a big hipster pod. We're talking about cinema, like fine art, like Indiana Jones and SpongeBob. So if you're really trying to get in on a trend, the sea shanty rendition of your favorite cartoon's theme song could be coming up big.
Yeah, that's going to be a new TikTok sound easily.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I'm big in the TikTok game. I haven't made one yet, but...
But you're big in the game still.
Oh, I'm big in the game. I'm there. I don't have a profile photo, but I'm on the app.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to jump real quick too. I think my favorite line, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but my favorite line in probably the entirety of anything SpongeBob, which is
whoa, that's a big statement.
It is. But I want to jump to this real quick because I just need to get it out because it needs to come out. Squidward's in the shower. La-da-dee, la-da-doo, la-da-dum. He's humming, he's cleaning, and then all of a sudden SpongeBob's in the shower. La-da-dee, la-da-doo, la-da-dum. And I love the line when Squidward's like, couldn't this have waited till work? And then SpongeBob goes, but there's no shower at work. It's amazing.
Just the pure, beautiful innocence of that moment. There's no shower at work. How about like the incredibly intense dream opening?
Yeah, we go from
Phil.
You got a family, Phil?
Talk to me about that family.
I love that we go from live action pirates singing a sea shanty version of the theme song straight into a dream sequence of an intense scene where he ordered a Krabby Patty with cheese, but there was no cheese.
No cheese. And SpongeBob just so happens to have the most perfect slice of American craft single that has ever existed, places it with a tweezer. This movie it grips you.
It does.
That's what I love about it. So it's like the first sequence, you're like, where am I? I think one of the best things a movie can do is just toss you in something and just like make you like kind of find your way like out, like what the hell's going on? And then it's like some tone that is completely different than anything SpongeBob has ever done with like the dream sequence. And then it's just right back to like, okay, this is SpongeBob. Like he's humming, he's annoying Squidward, he's doing the la-da-dee, la-da-doo, la-da-dum, which is just an iconic tone, by the way. Fantastic.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overarching theme at this beginning now is SpongeBob there's going to be the Krusty Krab 2 opening right next door to the original Krusty Krab because money. Yeah. And SpongeBob's like, SpongeBob's going to be that manager. He knows it. He knows it in its heart. 300 something consecutive employee of the months. That's his job right there. That's what he thinks.
Uh-huh. He believes he deserves it, despite his possible immaturity. Because him and Patrick have it's interesting the amount of like things in this movie that are like never referenced prior and never referenced again. It's just I think one of the better parts about this movie is that it almost exists in a vacuum away from SpongeBob itself. Yeah,
like, that's true.
It's done so like the Krusty Krab 2 like never referenced again. like Goofy Goobers, like they've never gone there before. What is the Goofy Goober? Like you would expect like Glove World or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. They went with a full-on dancing peanut.
They went with dancing a sea peanut. I love being purple. This movie has to be like Patrick is like, to me, he's the star of this movie.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree with that. He's got some of the most quotable lines, in my opinion.
The most quotable lines. And, like, that's just his role usually, is that he just, like, comes in and says something oafish and hilarious. But, like, from drop, like, him just, like, I love being purple, like, it just gets me going, man.
We're going to party till we're purple. I think my favorite line from him is, ooh, I want to be the distraction.
Mine is, did you see my underwear? No, Patrick. Did you want to?
Which, that reminds me, I want to call out the cast additions to this movie.
I was hoping we'd get to that.
You have your basic Tom Kenny, right? Your voice of SpongeBob. You got Clancy Brown, which, by the way, I always think a fun fact that he's the same dude as the intense guard from Shawshank. That's a Shawshank Redemption alum who voices Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob.
Yeah.
And
I'm surprised they didn't get Morgan Freeman.
It's true. And then the addition of Jeffrey Tambor as King Neptune, but I think my favorite, Scarlett Johansson as Princess Mindy, and Alec Baldwin as Dennis.
Alec Baldwin, and this is just the voice actors.
Yes.
Because
we will get to a live action.
We can't. I don't even want to mention it yet. I'm not ready.
We're not there yet. We need to build up to that. We have not earned it yet.
We haven't earned the right to mention that yet. We have a lot of plot to get through. But this was also easily Plankton's finest performance of anything SpongeBob related ever.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I didn't like him as a kid until this movie.
Either. He was like just kind of, the episodes with Plankton were very repetitive.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, here comes Plankton. He's going to do this. Look at that guy go. And I mean, obviously they're not going to like have a ton of crazy like plot points. Each episode's like 11 minutes long. But Plankton was like truly hilarious in this movie in a way that he wasn't prior to it and he wasn't after it. Like, that's why I'm saying this movie feels so separate, because the characters are almost like their personalities are so different.
I like the scene when he's like freaking out. He's like, just like squeezing,
like clenching, just like veins just bulging. When SpongeBob steps on him and he's just like scraping.
I think I stepped in something. This is so beyond classic stuff. Like, I mean, I feel like obviously we grew up with the show. We were kids when the show was coming out. We were watching this on cable television.
Like pretty much the era this movie was built for, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this wasn't for kids younger than us. This wasn't for adults. This was for that group of kids exactly like right around our age group that grew up with the show. And like, this definitely shaped our sense of humor as like our friend group, specifically me and Dominic, and then just everyone our age. Is like, this movie was pretty much like the humor in it is really shaped like who I am as a person.
100%. This movie, like, I just feel like we have those like iconic movies from childhood that just never get old, and this one is the one for me. Like, it's this and Shrek 2. Like, we already talked ad nauseum about the Shrek universe, but like, it's just like those movies that like, okay, this is me right here.
Yeah.
This will always be me. Like,
the level of like humor, we're talking about it a little bit when it came to like Shrek 3 and 4, of how the humor kind of started to fall and like they started talking down the audience.
Yeah.
This movie, like, that humor is so next level on a lot of ways that like, it's one of those things, like, same with Shrek 2. From the outside, if you're not a fan of the series, if this isn't like for your age group, you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to see the humor in it. But like, this is like so perfectly written down, and so the writing is so smart when it comes to like the humor that they use.
there is humor, I think, for everyone in this movie.
Yeah.
Because I went and saw this movie with my friend Jackson Tovar. And,
Shout out.
My mom and then his dad. And I remember specifically this because his dad burned me a CD of the soundtrack of this movie.
That's awesome.
Which was sweet. Like, I remember just like, Ocean Man, like that. Like, just like, oh my God, this is slapping right now, bro. But like, this, like, I remember even my mom and, like, you know, the adults in the theater, like, there were moments where everybody was laughing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of that came toward the end of the movie. I think the beginning was very much like based off the SpongeBob characters that we know.
Yeah,
and then
like,
the end
needed
threw
to know
in
SpongeBob to like for the beginning to be like silly and fun.
That's why I appreciate it too. They didn't spend time introducing these characters. They pretty much assumed like if you're seeing this, you saw the show. We're just diving right into the movie. Like we're not even going to give you like an introduction of like this is SpongeBob. He's a fry cook. It's like you know that already. He's going in like that's the movie. Which I mean, I love the scene where like he goes to. He thinks he's going to win the managerial job. Mm-hmm. And I just want to jump to when he loses the manager job. And Patrick, free cheers for SpongeBob.
Also Perch Perkins. One of my favorite additional characters in SpongeBob. Just the name
And we
Perch
never
Perkins.
see Perch Perkins again. The anchor for the news is always that weird 2D fish. Oh, do we see him again?
We see him occasionally. He like pops up like later on. But prior to this, you're right. He had never. It's been the fish head.
Yeah. The weird 2D fish.
The weird 2D fish. Yeah, exactly. But this was the introduction of Perch Perkins.
Thank you, Perch.
Anything for you, Perch.
Dear God.
But yeah, we have Squidward gets crowned manager of the Krusty Krab 2. Who's manager of Krusty Krab 1?
Mr. Krabs.
Isn't he just the owner?
I think he's the owner and manager.
Okay.
So
he doesn't
gets 2
seem
paychecks.
to take on much day-to-day responsibility, if we're being completely honest.
No, of course not. SpongeBob does all the work. He just takes the credit of the paycheck. I love the scene where SpongeBob's like doing his acceptance speech when he loses, but he thinks he wins. And I'm repeating everything he's saying to the microphone.
Pound, pound, pound.
This is a complete embarrassment.
The best part about that is that they like had it written to do that, and then somebody had the idea to add the echo with the microphone. The most embarrassing thing you've ever seen. Like comedic genius. Like
Truly. And then this is where we get when he says he's immature, he's like, no. And then they're like, a dingbat, a wingnut, a knucklehead McSpassatron.
Close, but
and then
so good.
We get Patrick coming in with the flag between his butt cheeks. Hooray
Yes.
for SpongeBob. Did you see my butt?
Yeah, Patrick all the way caked up, flag between the cheeks, just looking like a snickety snack, flying in, streaking, public displays of indecency. Could have been arrested, honestly.
Should have been arrested, honestly.
Should have been arrested, but we all know about the police force in Bikini Bottom isn't the best. Considering they killed the health inspector, and they had the health inspector in the police trunk, and they didn't realize it.
And I mean, and SpongeBob and Patrick were part of the police there for an episode.
Yeah, the hall monitor.
They did more than the police did.
Yeah, they did, absolutely. Conch and Coral.
So I want to jump to, we have the beautiful scene. Now we're at Goofy Goober's Peanut Parlor.
Our local haunt for SpongeBob and Patrick.
I love the fact that they get absolutely hammered on ice cream.
They get tanked. It's like we've all been there. Like it was just one of those days. Just one of those rough days, and he needed a little something to take the edge off.
That was a good joke for
the parents.
For the parents, of just having a really absolutely terrible day and just going to get absolutely wasted because of it. A triple gooberberry sunrise, huh?
Triple gooberberry sunrise. And just like, I'm sure it was very relatable for the the waiters, like anybody that works in the food service industry, or like, they're just like, oh my God, one of these.
Why do I always get the nuts?
Which, by the way, a very good double-edged kind of line there.
Exactly.
In Goofy Goobers. And we get to one of my
scene.
favorite lines, which is, this one goes out to my two best friends in the whole world, Patrick and this big peanut guy.
It's absolute art. And then they wake up just hungover to hell the next morning.
That 5 o'clock shadow.
I love that they gave him 5 o'clock shadow.
It's just tattered, like, off of sugar.
I thought of that scene in that one episode where Sandy's like, SpongeBob doesn't have hair. Or does he?
But, like, everything about his, like, hungover self is, like, to a T. Like, the way he's talking, he's like, there's, like, a little bit of growl to his voice because he was probably drinking something with, like, whiskey or scotch. Like, that's, like, the insinuation.
Put some hair in his chest.
Yeah, I got a little hair on the chest. Is like a little something, something. He, like, his voice drops down an octave or two. Like, he can barely see anything. He's not coherent. He doesn't exactly remember what happened, but he has, like, a vague idea.
I love it. It's like the place is completely trashed. Like, what happened? And the guy's like, come on, man. I want to go home.
Insinuating that it's like 3 a.m. Like, what's the timing of how late does Goofy Goobers stay open?
Hey, man, they got that bar over there. That's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
3 a.m. minimum. Last call, 3 a.m.
Oh, my God. So good.
And then meanwhile, as this is happening, right, so Plankton had his Plan Z, because he forgot, in his mind, the alphabet all the way from A to Y.
Yeah, forgot about the letter Z. Evil genius, but...
Plan Z, it's evil, it's diabolical, it's lemon-scented.
Mm-hmm. Oh. It's got the triple fold out. It's got the center fold.
I love the center fold thing. That was
another reference for the parents.
I was laughing so hard at that as a kid, having absolutely no idea what that meant.
You had no idea.
That was another Shrek
dad,
too.
Like... That was funny, right?
You're sitting there with your parents and your dad's just trying not to laugh and your mom's just looking at your dad like...
Yeah, like...
You know what that means?
Honey, not yet.
And so, Plan Z, right? Plankton's going to steal King Neptune's crown, which, again, another evidence of we meet a different King Neptune.
Yeah, an entirely
in an earlier
different
episode.
King Neptune with luscious locks.
Yes, who makes some of the worst Krabby Patties ever.
Terrible, but he makes a lot of them quickly.
He makes a lot of them, which I'm confused. I'm wondering why they completely changed that King Neptune. That one had luscious locks. This one is not bald, but thinning.
I just think that King Neptune wasn't very, like, funny.
Yeah.
I think they maybe... Yeah, he was just kind of mean. I think they probably wrote it, and they were like, we just need King Neptune to just be a little bit more, like... I don't know. Like, he's still a jerk. Yeah. But it's like a funny... It's like he's a jerk for, like, a funnier reason rather than just, like, I'm a god. He's just like... I have male pattern baldness, and I'm embarrassed about it. Like...
I like the scene when... He's talking, and he's like, Squire has hair in a can. Squire, really hurry up, and sprays him in the eyes and screws all the hair.
One of my favorite lines, I don't know if this has happened yet, but when Karen says stubby, tiny fingerprints in Plankton, like, we get the shot. The visuals in this movie are so funny. Like, you get, like, all these different, like, animation choices that they make, like, with, like, the faces and the eyeballs, and just Plankton staring at his little tiny mittens, like his little tiny baby stubby hands.
Stubby, tiny fingerprints.
Is still like...
It's fantastic.
It's still one of my favorite parts of the entire film. Exactly.
I love when he goes to... So Plankton steals the crown and he goes to pin it on Mr. Krabs. And I love when Mr. Krabs is like, I didn't steal your crown. Then this is the voicemail. Hey, this is from Shell City.
Perfectly timed.
Just here to say that we got the crown. Neptune's crown.
And it's all the way in Shell City. Neptune's crown.
Eugene Krabs, we got the crown. Neptune's crown. Shell City. Bye. He like smashes the phone and he keeps talking even though the phone is smashed.
We just have to like let ourselves believe that Plankton can like make the surfer dude voice.
Or
which I choose to believe.
I choose to believe that is the voice of the Cyclops. Because he's calling from Shell City.
Shell City.
Shell City.
Shell City.
We'll get there. I love that line.
And then they, King Neptune and Mindy agree to allow SpongeBob and Patrick to go on a quest to save Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krab. I love this scene when Neptune's like, I'll give you 10 days. We can do it in 9.
Patrick, just the world's worst negotiator. 3, take it or leave it. There might as well be 500 challenges. That might have been a callback to his other negotiation with King Neptune. See, this is why you have to be a SpongeBob historian like you and I.
You have to know that we have pored over the sacred texts just for the audience for this episode.
Exactly.
And they go off. They're going to start their adventure on the way to Shell City to restore the sound. What was it? Return the crown, save the day.
Yeah.
And
to get the crown and save the town and Mr. Krabs.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And so they drive a sandwich.
Which you don't, like, classically, everybody who's vaguely familiar knows SpongeBob doesn't have his license.
No,
he
but you don't need a
fails
license.
time and time again, but you don't need a license to drive a sandwich.
And
he had a lot of confidence in that paddy wagon.
He did. Can we talk about the specs of that car? Grilled leather interior, sesame seed hood.
The car is it's a handsome little devil.
Dual fryer engine.
So beautiful.
I still love grilled leather interior. Is probably my absolute
grilled leather
favorite
interior
part.
is absolutely the best part. And then they begin the quest. They get to the county line. And they meet just the best town folk.
Wait, I want to do the fill her up, please.
What'll it be? Ketchup or mustard?
I love that scene.
Yeah, so good. There's just 110 classic lines there. But the guy basically bets you won't be able to cross the county line. They get over instantly. It's just the worst area of all time, right? When they cross after this gas station and they get their car jacked.
You won't last 10 seconds over the county line. How long was that? 12. Ha! And it gets stolen by this no-name thug who's just like, the car, fellas.
Yeah, out of the car,
just
fellas.
Get out. He doesn't threaten them. He's just like, the car.
He's just like, these guys, you don't need it. And they follow him because they realize we're not going to be able to get to Shell City on time to the Thug Tug, which is one of...
I forgot it was called the Thug Tug.
This entire scene, for my money, might be the best scene in the entire movie.
Like, moment for moment. Like,
beat
amazing.
for beat, this scene is so funny. Like, they get to the Thug Tug. Patrick barges in there and is just like, "Can I use your bathroom?"
SpongeBob's like, all right, I'm going to be a distraction. Patrick goes, ooh, I want to be the distraction with his one tooth. And SpongeBob's like, it doesn't matter who's the distraction. And that was his distraction, was to burst the door and go, "Can I use the bathroom?" It's right over there.
And SpongeBob gets caught reaching for the spatula. Contact. Where is that thing?
Better go wash it off.
And that's when we ensue on the bubble party. And the bubble party faces are the specific faces I am talking about when I say the animation in this movie is next level. When
100%.
They're grasping a bubble and they go, and they're dancing and making these hilarious voices, and somehow the lighting is like pink and purple and
it's like a
beautiful
club in there.
It kind of looks like the Jellyfish Jam kind of vibe.
Oh yeah.
And then they become bubble blowing babies.
Well, they almost get caught for being bubble blowing double babies.
Yeah, we'll be beaten senseless by every able-bodied patron in the bar.
That was another one, like the echo you were saying, that someone had the idea to add the guy who's falling behind in the mantra. Every able-bodied patron in the bar.
This movie is very well thought out. It's very well written. That's what, like, it's just like the little intricate details.
It is. I absolutely love that scene. I remember that's one of the few scenes, like, I could watch this movie on a loop and I would still laugh at that little moment of it when he guy bar in the background every single time.
Why is it funny? It's one of those lines that gets funnier the more you watch the movie and the more you quote the movie.
But that's what I'm saying, like shaping our sense of humor, because that's something that I feel like a lot of people would not find funny, but then now that's like shaped me as far as a person. As someone lingers behind, you have that little moment of someone like catching up, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, so then they all have to line up, right, and do the test of whoever sings along to the Goofy Goober theme song is going to be the Bubble Blow and Double Baby.
Which is incredibly catchy.
Incredibly catchy. And then the two
Siamese twins. So I'm a Goofy Goober, yeah.
You're a Goofy Goober, yeah. And they're just like sweating.
Technically, that guy should have gotten beat up because he knew the lines.
He knew the lyrics. He did, 100%. But I love the fact that SpongeBob and Patrick are like sweating and like cringing the faces they're making as they're trying to hold it in to not sing. So and right as they're about to break, that's like the conjoined twins, Goofy, Goofy, Goober, Goobers, yeah.
Just as they're about to snap, somebody else does.
And then the whole bar erupts in fighting.
Yes,
and that's when Patrick got the key, though. He got the spatula key.
Patrick's a little shifty devil.
He is.
Love that about
him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that scene, just everybody needs to do themselves a favor. Go back. If you're just going to watch like 10 minutes from this movie, that is, for my money, the best 10 minutes of this movie.
If we can recommend watching this movie, if you don't want to watch the whole movie, fine, but watch that scene at least. Just get that in your system.
It gives you an idea of what the sense of humor is for the rest. It's like, it's the tone setter.
Easily.
Yeah. And then Plankton finally gets what he wanted all along, and he gets the Krabby Patty secret formula.
He gets the formula and he puts so the chum bucket now is running amazing. People there because now he has a secret formula.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they're all wearing their chum bucket helmets. Perch Perkins is there to interview about the sudden success of the chum bucket.
Yes. Anything for you, Perch.
But Squidward listens to NPR. He's not going to be tricked like that.
Squidward is just the worst kind of person.
It's another joke I didn't get as a kid, but I listen to public radio.
Like now in like the world of Twitter, like we know who Squidward would be
exactly
today.
Canned bread.
Babies too. But Plankton...
Man, where's everybody getting that horrid headwear?
Squidward's the worst. But yeah, he also hires Dennis, which will be important later on in the movie.
Yes.
Because Dennis is the aforementioned Alec Baldwin bounty hunter. Hellbent on meeting up with Patrick and SpongeBob before they reach Shell City.
Shell City. And I love that he's like intense, and then you see him, he gets on the motorcycle, starts to drive away, you see him from the back, and his name is Dennis. Like the least threatening name. I love
like
that.
Chill, just like Dennis. Hey, it's Dennis.
It's
Uncle
Dennis,
Den, Uncle Denny. Yeah, love him.
Love Dennis.
Yeah.
Just the fact that Alec Baldwin, he barely says any lines too. He only has like 4 or 5 lines.
He doesn't have a whole lot to say, but his presence is felt.
He chases them down, and he runs into the ketchup or mustard gas station guys on the county line.
That had to take 10 gallons.
Rips their mouths off.
Yes. Which everybody wanted to do at this point.
Definitely. I love that. Like, why? It's just the way that why rip their mouths off? Like, it's just like such a crazy thing. I love that.
He's an incredibly aggressive individual. I think that's what that was portraying.
Definitely.
But yeah, so SpongeBob and Patrick, I mean, obviously they're back on the adventure. They almost get taken out by a little old lady at an ice cream stand through a sea of skulls.
I love that scene. SpongeBob's like moving the skulls away, and Patrick's like, "How you doing?" The skulls. SpongeBob, wait! Make mine a chocolate.
Or the cat that like pops out of like the monster's like mouth.
I love that.
That was a deeply disturbing. Yeah, that was a deeply disturbing like image, and it leads them to the trench.
I also
like,
just
the world's longest monster.
Monster infested. Yeah, monster infested. I just want to go real quick back to that scene with the old lady, the fake old lady. How before he knows that he still thinks she's an old lady, and he thinks she won't let go of the ice cream, and he like puts her feet on her, so it's like yanking it out of her hand.
Yeah, so the monster is there, and we get a very iconic meme born from a still image of Patrick mouth agape.
As the big monster like comes like arcing over the edge there.
Yeah, and it takes a solid like 45 seconds for the monster to stop like descending.
And this is where we get Princess Mindy, voiced by the Black Widow ScarJo, and that's when she's gonna use her
right there.
Exact little Marvel callback.
Mm-hmm.
She uses her mermaid magic to make them men by giving them mustaches.
Which is how you become a man.
It is.
I don't have a full mustache yet, so I'm still sort of growing through a lot of growth.
Mine's still growing out. I got a way to go. And
no, you're pretty good. Not gonna lie.
And this is where, yeah. So that's where we got your favorite line of, "Did you see my underwear? No, Patrick. Did you want to?" Because he's in love with Mindy.
The same Goofy Goober underpants for the last 5 years, Patrick. And then he starts running away with his pants around his ankles. Tips over and falls.
Sad. It's so sad.
It's deeply like it's a humanizing moment. Like you like kind of take a step back and you're like, wow.
Emotionally, I've been
like
exactly
before.
Yeah.
Emotionally, I've been Patrick, pants at ankles, falling flat on my face. Like 3 times a week.
So now that they're men, they can do anything, right? Now that they're men, they are invincible. We get the song as they start going straight. I love that they don't use the stairs.
But the ham bone is what unites them and the monsters. Is Patrick and SpongeBob hitting the ham bone?
Uh-huh.
Go, Pat.
Go, Pat. Uh-huh.
And it erupts right into our beautiful musical number, Now That We're Men, which I believe was on the burned CD that I referenced earlier.
It had to have been.
Yeah. A lot of good musical moments in this movie.
I just love that they don't use the stairs and they just jump straight into the pit full of monsters. And
it's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Now they're friends with the monsters. Right? They come out the other side and SpongeBob just insults them. Right? We made it through the trench of all those hideous monsters, and they're all like, "Aww, not you guys. You guys are great.
You guys are awesome."
So now we get, I think, my favorite scene of Dennis. Right? So Dennis finally catches up with SpongeBob and Patrick, and they think now that they're men, they can defeat Dennis.
Yeah,
but he's like, "I thought you guys still got a piece of salad stuck in your lip from lunchtime. This is what a real mustache looks like." Pulls his bandana. And
just sprouts mustache hair. That's what I need.
Sprouts a full mustache.
I need what he has, dude. I can't grow anything.
You need to get a bandana and just pull it down and then just clench and see what happens.
Okay. I'll probably burst a blood vessel.
But that's what grows hair, man. Come on.
Pure grit and determination. Maybe that's what Plankton was trying to do when he was clenching earlier.
What's Karen's line to Plankton clenching? Like, I just mopped the floor.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love Karen. And then Bigger Boot comes and saves the day, or so they think.
Right? Our classic nautical... what's it called? Scuba diver man.
Yes.
Comes in because Dennis is about to step on them. Right, he's gonna step on SpongeBob and Patrick. He's got spikes coming out of his foot, but then Bigger Boot comes and steps on Dennis
because there's an alleged Cyclops that guards Shell City.
Exactly.
To this point, we had no idea what that meant, and then we see a live action human being dressed in like an old timey scuba diving like metal outfit,
not attached to anything for air.
Not attached to anything for air, and he wears it outside of the water as well in his own little gift shop and sundries.
I love when you do that. He also wears it to the bathroom. I want to know what that process is in there.
Yeah, is there a zipper?
So he catches SpongeBob and Patrick and brings it back to Shell City and Sundries.
Gift shop and sundries. At this point, I still don't know what sundries are.
I never looked into it. I never
looked into it. I just like the way he says it.
It's beautiful. And I get one of my favorite stories of the next scene, right? So SpongeBob and Patrick are laid out. They're about to be dried out and made into some tourist crap. Mm-hmm. And, right, so they die. And they shed a single tear.
The most gut-wrenching scene of my childhood. Nothing gets me to my core more than SpongeBob and Patrick screaming, "I'm a goofy goober, yeah." Can you imagine 8-year-old you thinking SpongeBob's about to die? Like,
it's
they
dark.
did that.
They killed them for like a second.
They legitimately killed SpongeBob and Patrick in a children's movie.
One of my favorite lines in this movie, which I think is one of my favorite things that you quote, that I hear you quote, is Shell City. Yeah, Patrick, the place we never made it to. Shell City. Yeah, Patrick, the place we never got. Shell City. Okay, now you're really starting to bum me out, Pat. No, Shell City.
I oftentimes just like come up and just like mutter, Shell City.
That's when they get the line, gift shop and sundries.
Yeah, that's one of those if you know, you know. Just go up to somebody and like, this is a good friendship test. Go up to somebody you consider a friend and just go, Shell City. If they know what you're saying, keep them. If they don't, they either need to be educated or kicked to the curb.
That's why we've been friends for like 7 years now.
7 years, people. Think about the friends that you've had for 7 years. Think about people you still talk to from college. There's probably like 4. You went to college on the first day. You added everybody on Instagram and Snapchat. And then you never talked to 75% of them again for the rest of your freshman year. And then by the time you're a senior, you're talking about 6 of them. After college, it goes down to like 4.
That's true. Yeah. Which is funny because I think all of you guys have been on the podcast with me.
Basically. That's what I'm saying. Like, excluding your beautiful girlfriend. Like, the fact that, who also went to our college, like, the fact that our bond was so tight is because of SpongeBob SquarePants, and that's why we still talk to this day.
SpongeBob SquarePants, This Is the End, Shrek 2, all those movies brought us together.
Absolutely.
And SpongeBob and Patrick saved the day, right? One single tear from each of them combined into a heart.
Be the tear of the Goofy Goobers. We get like a brief flashback to the pirates for some reason in the movie theater as they're like wreaking havoc and like throwing popcorn to and fro.
They're angry that SpongeBob and Patrick just died, but then they see the single tear. It'd be the tear of the Goofy Goobers, which then sparks the electrical plug, setting off the sprinklers, bringing back all of the fish that have been
including the mariachi fish.
Is that racist?
That was going to be my first question. I was hoping I could ask you because I shouldn't be speaking. Is it racist? Because
I'm of Hispanic descent.
Yeah, you're of Hispanic descent. This is your ballpark. I can say it's at the time. I don't think that was like.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's comedic. I think if you had, considering that the fact that they're fish.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
They're fish.
I think if you're stereotyping people,
it's fairly stereotypical. If we're being completely, the only like the most recognizable like tune in the sombreros, like. But I agree. I don't think it's necessarily because like where are these fish from?
Yeah. I mean, we don't know where Shell City is. This could be in Mexico, for all we know.
Yeah, exactly. This could be a resort.
Which, by the way, I think the fact that they brought back all the fish from, like, God knows how long they've all been, like, dead and dried out. All of them back to life and animated now. They were all live action. Now they're animated. And so SpongeBob and Patrick make their escape, right? The Cyclops has been taken down by all the fish getting revenge. And this is where we meet special guest, the most unexpected thing I think a cartoon film has ever done. was you have two animated characters on a live-action beach. And, wait, hold on. Actually, I want to cover one thing. They pull out the winds to go back to Bikini Bottom.
Yes.
SpongeBob is reading the directions. All right, untie the bag like the winds. All right.
Wait. You're putting the cart before the horse. Patrick bends over, has a gigantic bulge in his butt.
You still
got
have
that bag
winds,
of wind? Yeah. And then he like bends over. There's a gigantic bulge in his butt, and then he just pulls it from somewhere else.
And then SpongeBob's just like,
okay.
You're right. That's beautiful. So then SpongeBob's reading the directions. Patrick just has it under his arm and just pulls the string and it just shoots out. And
just ruins it. The bag of winds goes. It's like a dad assembling a piece of IKEA furniture. Just that way too much confidence in their abilities.
Yes.
Instantly regret it. As the mom's like over there reading the instructions thoroughly, and she's like, "All right, what's next?" And the dad's already like broken 4 things. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to Home Depot.
So then in comes our cameo of the film.
Cameo
the star
of the decade.
The star of such classics as Baywatch and Knight Rider. David Hasselhoff comes Baywatching down the beach.
German pop culture icon, by the way, in case you didn't know. He's huge in Germany.
They love him in Germany.
Yes.
I think the scene I realized that was in Dodgeball.
Yes, absolutely.
And so David Hasselhoff comes Baywatching down the beach, and he's like, "I'll take you to Bikini Bottom. Hop on." He gets in the water, and he starts taking off like a goddamn speedboat.
Yeah, he's a speedboat. He's like, have you seen the like renderings of like that? I don't know if they're fake. Are they real?
Yeah, well, Dominic sent us that thing. It was up for a bit. The actual like 10 feet long David Hasselhoff thing they used for the movie for like the body to shoot was up for like auction.
Yeah,
for like $1 million.
I'm trying to like have that displayed prominently in my home.
Where can I put that people will see it?
Yeah. It's like your entryway. It's like literally right. He like guards the door.
You need vaulted ceilings. That thing is like 8 feet, 10 feet tall.
That thing's massive.
And so they take off, and that's when we get Dennis wasn't dead. He was not killed by Bigger Boot.
No, he was
Dennis
just
comes
on
back.
Bigger Boot.
And they start fighting Dennis for survival. This is intense now, right? He's got a knife and everything. He's ready to go.
Yeah, they stab Hasselhoff in the butt cheek. Hey,
and he's like, "What's
take
going
it
on
easy back
there,
fellas?" Hasselhoff thinks SpongeBob and Patrick are just getting a little rambunctious.
Whoa, hey, come on.
Which I'll just let you guys think about that one. But yeah, they have Dennis, and hilarious scene is SpongeBob like finally trusting himself enough to like leap over to the other side of David Hasselhoff, and Dennis is just like, "Yeah, what's up? Like, I'm still here."
I just want to take a moment for you to think back to the phrase you just said. SpongeBob to jump to the other side of David Hasselhoff and Dennis to be like, whatever. Just think about the way you said. What the gift this movie is that you can say a phrase like that in your lifetime.
Yeah, and like people at home are like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Yeah,
like,
of course. Yeah, I love that scene.
That was an epic scene. Like, yeah, what are we talking about here, guys? Come on.
So they beat Dennis, and David Hasselhoff needs to send them down to Bikini Bottom quick, right? So he puts out his chest, and his pecs just like
luscious pectorals and just like a gigantic matted V of chest hair.
Beautiful.
Separate.
Just an absolute mane.
That
Sternbush was rocking.
You know that he oils that thing regularly.
Or no, he's David Hasselhoff. People oil that thing for him.
It gets oiled by, who is it? Pamela Anderson. Who are the other characters in that show? I don't know.
Yasmin Bleak or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so they separate. They shoves him in their pecs.
And it just squeezes him down until it shoots him down to Bikini Bottom. To then, now they're in, right? Because right at this moment, King Neptune's about to kill Eugene Krabs for stealing the crown. But right at that moment, SpongeBob and Patrick come right through the ceiling and put out a musical number to then save all of Bikini Bottom. You're right, because SpongeBob says, "I might be a knucklehead mixed Bazartron, a wingnut, But you know what I am? I'm a goofy goober.
What the scallop?
What the scallop? I'm a goofy goober!
And if you weren't jacked up at that exact moment, has there ever been... Okay, obviously, yes. But,
Yeah,
like, the biggest, like, that plot twist, like, where did that come from?
I forgot about that scene. What the scallop?
What the scallop?
That's beautiful.
That's why you have me here.
That's why we're doing this.
That's why we're doing this.
Put your toys away.
And
I said away. No.
To the tune of I Wanna Rock. And it's Goofy Goober Rock, which if you, on that, let's go back to that CD, I think that was like the final track that I would just play on loop.
The amount of money that it cost to buy the rights to that song, because they had to get the whole song, right? I mean, they changed the lyrics, but they had to get the whole song.
It's the tune, it's the same, everything's the same except for the lyrics.
Yeah. So they had to buy the rights to the entire song. That's expensive now. Mm-hmm. Like, especially back in 2004, I'm sure still. And we get Patrick, right? Legs you can climb like a tree, fishnet stockings, heels.
What was that decision?
I was completely... 8. Why did they do that to us?
Why did they do that to us? That
confused the hell out of me.
I was very confused. And not only that, after SpongeBob has his epic guitar solo and, like, for some reason, the way that he's just shredding the gnar on his Goofy Goober, like, specialty wizard outfit guitar.
I love it.
Ripping off the mind control helmets that Plankton had placed.
Shooting them off. All the people in Bikini Bottom, saving them from their slavery that Plankton put them into.
And we're getting, like, flashed to, like, live-action guitar playing with, like, a moody, like, purple lighting. Like,
it's fantastic. It's art.
It's art.
It is genius. And then it ends, and SpongeBob's just hanging there from the ceiling. Little help, please. I got him. Patrick with the fishnet stockings.
With the fishnet stockings still on. And the heels. The
heels still on.
Clomping over. They had to add that sound of heels clomping on wooden floor, and they did it.
Truly inspirational. Impeccable. That, I think, is up there. That song of Goofy Goober Rock is up there with the Bubble Bowl episode.
The Bubba.
The Bubba.
This movie needed Squilliam.
I'm surprised we got no Squilliam fancy son in here.
We didn't get any Squilliam. Not even like a subtle reference with him in the helmet. I don't know.
But I mean, oh wait, did we? Don't we see him in this little robe?
So.
No, we do not. We see Gary with a helmet on his eyes.
Meow, Plankton. It's like a reference to like the Jews of Nazareth, like, if we're being completely honest, like, right? That's exactly what the reference is. Like, they're like making the pyramids of Egypt.
Yeah.
And then SpongeBob is Moses, and he comes in and says, "Let my people go," plays Goofy Goober Rock, shreds the gnar. He's like, I'll give you 10 commandments.
And who people say this show's not religious enough.
And you say there aren't deeper themes to SpongeBob.
Yeah, any naysayers out there who say this is just a kid's movie.
This is not a shallow kid's film.
This is not at all. SpongeBob saves the day.
This is Old Testament.
Unfreezes. This is biblical shit right here. Unfreezes Eugene Krabs. The cops arrest Plankton, put him in jail.
After he accidentally sets it to real boy. He returns him to his normal form. Accidentally had it set to real boy ending. Like, why? They didn't need that joke. A
solid Shrek 2 reference. Yeah. Real boy. And that's the end of our movie. SpongeBob becomes the manager of Krusty Krab 2, even though Krusty Krab 2 will never be seen again. And he is not the manager at all.
Yeah, he's not the manager. That doesn't exist. This movie is in its own universe.
It is.
And we insinuate that Squidward does have pants. I hope you caught the reference. When SpongeBob says, "I was just going to tell you that your fly's down. Give me that thing." Does Squidward wear pants hot in the streets?
I don't know. That's a deep question that I would need a few weeks to think about, really.
Yeah, a lot of weeks. Does Patrick wear... Patrick doesn't wear a shirt, clearly. But does Squidward have pants on?
I love the scene where Squidward's like, but you realize that inside you all along. It goes like this deep meaning, and then Sponge is like, no!
Which tells us he hasn't learned anything. Yeah.
Yeah. He learned nothing from this journey. End movie, end film, end
Ocean Man, take you by the hand. That's the song that hits at the end. Like, oh my God. And that was on the CD. And it was like one of my favorite. That was on repeat every day of my life.
That was a fantastic film. Something absolutely special. And I'm so glad that you picked it for this 1 year anniversary podcast.
Anybody that knows me knows that my personality is 75% Spongebob. I've come to the conclusion I don't think I'm actually funny. And it's something that a lot of people, I think like white men in general, have to realize is like, are you funny or do you just quote movies?
Quote funny things.
Yeah, do you just quote funny? Like, have you had an original thought in the last 26 years? While I have had several, I will say that the bulk of the laughs that I generate come from just having a decent memory of film lines. And SpongeBob I can thank for like shaping that for me, making that part of my personality, for being such a quotable show and then morphing itself into one of the most quotable children's movies ever created.
It's gotten to a point where I will say an original joke I thought of, and my girlfriend will go, "What's that from?"
Yeah.
Because I quote so often that I'll say, "No, I actually thought of that." And she'll go, "Come on, what's that from?" And then I'll be hurt inside because of how often I quote things.
Yes.
It's more often than I say things.
A lot.
Yeah.
It makes you realize a lot.
It's sad. It's unfortunate, truly. But I accept that that's my personality.
One of the best parts about my girlfriend is that she's like doesn't like know that many movies or shows, so she thinks I'm hilarious. So for those of you struggling, maybe to find a loved one for you, like the one for you, get somebody that doesn't know movies and then like just quote funny movies to them, and they'll think you're funny and cool, and they'll introduce you to their parents, and then you'll record podcasts in their sister's room.
That's not your room?
No, unfortunately. It's not. It could be. It looks more cozy than my room, but...
Fantastic. I think that this has been an absolute win of a show, Grayson. I appreciate you being here. Is it all right if I dive into the beer?
It's been a rip snorting good time.
It's been exactly what you just said.
Yeah. It's something my
to
grandpa
a T,
says.
my friend. Does he really say that?
Yeah, he says it's a rip snorter. Nobody knows what he's saying, but it's descriptive at the same time.
In the description of this episode, when I have to put it in, I'm going to say this episode is a rip snorter.
Yes.
This week, Grace and I will discuss this
Squarepants movie. Thank you.
I will definitely do that for you. I'm going to dive in the beer real quick, if you're okay with that. So, bringing back a classic from 1 year ago today, back when Ben was on the show. Ben was a co-host, and we thought we were going to record this show in person. Little did we know. We have the Fathom IPA from Ballast Point Brewing. Now, Ballast Point has 3 locations. Grayson and I have actually been together to the Long Beach location.
Shout out LB.
Stunning location. I love that place.
So amazing. I love the Long Beach location. I don't know if it's open right now. There is a lot of outdoor space at that.
They have a lot. They have the rooftop area.
They have the rooftop area, and they have an additional outside area kind of in that harbor of Long Beach.
Yeah.
So if you're in that area, look it up. It's one of the most fun locations for Ballast Point you can go to.
Yeah, outstanding. The other 2 are the original location down in San Diego, California, which is another beautiful location. The actual location is not like looking over the beach, but the inside of it, they designed it beautifully. They have brewery tours, which is really cool, and a lot of outdoor seating, so I think that might be open. And then the third most recent location is downtown Disney at the Disneyland Resort in Orange County, California. Cool location. Definitely a fun tourist attraction for sure.
Still need to see that one.
Yeah, it's definitely not like the prettiest location, but still really cool. Good beer, obviously. Ballast Point has been around since 1996. They were a small San Diego brewery in 1996 that absolutely blew up, making some of, I think, this place got me into beer. I remember the first time in college I had a Sculpin IPA.
Yes.
And I was hooked in that moment. I was like, beer is good. This is a good thing that this is. And because of that.
That's a good
Sculpin
point.
Pineapple.
Yeah, I'd say Ballast Point in terms of like introducing people to like craft beer. Yeah. It's like if you want like a little just brief introduction, like the Sculpin IPA, like Ballast Point makes great beer for everyone.
Definitely. And the cool thing about them too is they have their like everyday beers you can grab at like a grocery store. And they also have their beers that they only sell at the breweries. Like they have a wide range of beers from like watermelon beers to pineapple beers to like they had an orange creamsicle stout, which was really good. My girlfriend was a big fan of that. But the Fathom IPA is just your basic India Pale Ale. And it is, I'd say, pretty damn good. It's 6% alcohol by volume. It's a really good, just basic, like, it sets the bar for just like an IPA. Just like a generic IPA. It's really, really good. I wouldn't say my favorite from Ballast Point. I think they have some really quality stuff. I mean, Grayson, when you and me and Dom went that one time, like pretty close before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Started that, I had some pretty good stuff there. They have some pretty amazing things.
I think it's called the Manta Ray, I believe.
Manta Ray is good.
It might only, I think they'll sometimes bottle it. And if you can find that one, I would, if you like IPAs, something that's pretty heavy, like that is unbelievable. Yeah,
definitely. They also have, I think they're the first ones I remember introducing like a hazy.
Yes.
Back in the day. They were introducing, but they called it like the unfiltered at the time. It was before like hazy IPAs were a thing, like hitting mainstream. So like they were really at the forefront of that happening, if I remember correctly. So definitely check them out. If you live in Southern California, San Diego County, or Orange County, I highly recommend checking them out. They are absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite baseline breweries, I'd say. California has some great like introductory to beer, craft beer breweries. I'd say them, Firestone Walker, like those classic ones. Like it's definitely up there for that. So definitely check them out if you live in San Diego or Orange County. And yeah, before we wrap out, Grayson, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Thank you guys for 1 year of this show. I mean, this was just a hobby that Ben and I started out doing for fun and turned into a lot more for me. Something really fun that I get to do. And it's a great excuse to talk to my friends and call with my friends, talk about ridiculous movies. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening, helping me keep this going. And Grayson, thank you so much for being here, being a part of this this journey with me, man.
Absolutely, Doug. Been listening since the first episode. Come a long way. It's great. Very proud of you, and I'm happy to be a recurring guest.
Thank you. But we're gonna have to have you back after this March anniversary. We're gonna have to have you back on some other stuff. I mean, this has been I love talking about these kinds of. We gotta do like This Is the End, and we gotta do like those classic ones.
Yeah, just our little friendship group cult classics, because I think they're very relatable. I think a lot of these movies, I think people will have similar feelings about.
Yeah. So last order of business, we are on YouTube for the video version and everywhere you get podcasts for that version. And then as far as episodes coming out once a week, they're going to start coming out once every other week after the month of March. Reason being, I'm not going to go too into it. I'm going back to school, and I'm not going to have time to record and edit these things as often as I used to. So starting April, 2 episodes in April, 2 episodes in May, kind of like that after this month. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we're going to see you guys next week. I don't know who's going to be on next week, but Dominic will be on at some point. Grayson's going to be on. Adam, Chris, my dad, everyone's going to be back. So thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Peace.